25. Dazzling and tremendous, how quick the sunrise would kill me. If I could not now and always send sunrise out of me. We also send dazzling and tremendous as the sun. We found our own, O my soul, in the calm and cool of the daybreak. My voice goes after what my eyes cannot reach. With the trill of my tongue I encompass worlds and volumes of worlds. Speech is the twin of my vision. It is unequal. It is unequal. It is unequal to measure itself. It provokes me forever, it says sarcastically. Walt, you contain enough. Why don't you let it out then? Come now, I will not be tantalized. You conceive too much of articulation. Do you not know speech, how the buds beneath you are folded, waiting in gloom, protected by frost, the dirt receding before my prophetical screams. I, underlying causes to balance them at last, my knowledge, my leaf parts, it keeping tally with the meaning of all things. Happiness, which whoever hears me let him or her set out in search of the day. My final merit I refuse you. I refuse putting from me what I really am. Encompass worlds, but never try to encompass me. I crowd you slickest and best by simply looking toward you. Writing and talk do not prove me. I carry the plenum of proof and everything else in my face. With the hush of my lips, I wholly confound the skeptic. 26. Now I will do nothing but listen to accrue what I hear unto this song and to let sounds contribute toward it. I hear bravures of birds, bustle of growing wheat, gossip of flames, clack of sticks cooking my meals. I hear the sound I love, the sound of the human voice. I hear all sounds running together, combined, fused, or following. Sounds of the city and sounds out of the city, sounds of the day and night, talkative young ones to those that like them, the loud laugh of work people at their meals, the angry bass of disjointed friendship, the faint tones of the sick, the judge with hands tied to the desk, his pallid lips pronouncing a death sentence. The heavy owl of stevedores, unladen ships by the wharves, the refrain of the anchor's lifters, the ring of alarm bells, the cry of fire, the whir of swift-stricken engines and hose carts with premonitory tinkles and colored lights, the steam whistle, the solid roll of the train of approaching cars, the slow march played at the head of the association marching two and two, They go to guard some corpse, the flag tops and draped with black muslin. I hear the violoncello. 'Tis the young man's heart's complaint. I hear the keyed cornet. It glides quickly through my ears. It shakes mad sweet pangs through my belly and breasts. I hear the chorus. It is a grand opera. Oh, this indeed is music. This sweets me. Athena, large and fresh as the creation fills me. The orbit flex of his mouth is powering and filling me full. I hear the trained soprano. What walk with hers as this? The orchestra whirls me wider than Uranus flies. It wrenches such ardors from me, and from me I did not know I possessed them. It sails me. I dab with bare feet. They are licked by the indolent waves. I am caught by bitter and angry hail. I lose my breath. Steeped, amid, honeyed, morphine, my windpipe, throttled in fakes of death, at length led up again to fill the puzzle of puzzles, and that we call being. 27. To be in any form, what is that? Round and round we go, all of us, and ever come back thither, if nothing lay more developed, the Quahan, Quahog, in its callous shell, were enough. Mine is no callous shell. I have instant conductors all over me, whether I pass or stop. This says every object and lead it harmlessly through me. I merely stir, press, feel with my fingers, and am happy. To touch my person to someone else's is about as much as I can stand. 28. Is this then a touch, quivering me to a new identity? Flames or ether making a rush for my veins. Treacherous tip of me, reaching and crowding to help them. My flesh and blood playing out, lightning to strike what is hardly different from myself. All sight prurient provokers, stiffening my limbs, straining the other of my heart for its withheld trip, behaving licentious toward me, taking no denial, depriving me of my best as for a purpose, unbuttoning my clothes, holding me by the bare waist, deluding my confusion with the calm of the sunlight and pasture fields, immodestly sliding the fellow senses away. They bribed to swap off with touch and go and glaze and brace at the edges of me. No consideration, no regard for my draining strength or my anger, fetching the rest of the herd around to enjoy them a while. Then all is uniting to stand on a held headland and worry me. The centuries desert every other part of me. They have left me helpless to a red murder. They'll come to the headland to witness and assist against me. I am given by the traitors. I talk wildly. I have lost my wits. I and nobody else am the greatest traitor. I went myself first to the headland. My own hands carried me there. You villain touch, what are you doing? My breath is tight in its throat. Unclench your floodgates. You are too much for me. 29. Blind love and wrestling touch. Sheathed, hooded, sharp-touched touch. Did it make you ache so, leaving me? Parting tracked by a roving, perpetual payment of perpetual loan, rich showering rain and recompense, richer afterward. Sprouts take and accumulate, stand by the curb, prolific and vital, landscape projected masculine, full-sized and golden. 30. All truths wait in all things. They neither hasten their own delivery nor resist it. They do not need the obstetric forceps of the surgeon. The insignificant is as big to me as any. What is less or more than a touch? Logic and sermons never convince. The damp of the night drives deeper into my soul. Only what proves itself to every man and woman is so. Only what nobody denies is so. A minute and a drop of me settle my brain. I believe, and soggy cloths shall become lovers and lamps. And a compent of compents is the meat of a man and woman, and the summit and flower there is the feeling they have for each other, and they are to branch boundlessly out of that lesson until it becomes omnific, and until one and all shall delight us, and with them. 31. I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars, and the pismire is equally perfect, and a grain of sand, and the egg of the wren, and the tree toad is a shedevre for the highest, and the running blackberry would adorn the pillars of heaven, and the narrowest hinge in my hand puts to scorn all machinery, and the cow crunching with depressed head surpassed any stature, and the mouse is miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels. I find I incorporate gneiss, coal, long-threaded moss fruits, grains, esculent roots, and am stuccoed with quadrupeds and birds all over. and have distanced what is behind me for good reasons, but call anything back again when I desire it. In vain the speeding or shyness. In vain the platonic rocks send their old hate against my approach. In vain the mastodon retreats beneath its own powdered bones. In vain objects stand leagues off and assume manifold shapes. In vain the ocean settling in hollows and the great monsters lying low. In vain the buzzard houses herself with the sky. In vain the snake slides through the creepers and logs. In vain the elk takes to the inner passes of the woods. In vain the razor-billed oak sails far north to Labrador. I follow quickly, I ascend to the nest in the fissure of the cliff. 32. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them, lone. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. No one is dissatisfied. No one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one of respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Myself moving forward then, and now and forever, gathering and showing more always and with velocity, infinite and omnigeous, and the like of these among them, not too exclusive toward the reachers of my remembrances, picking out here one that I love, and now go with him on brotherly terms, a gigantic beauty of a stallion, fresh and responsive to many caresses, head high in the forehead, wide between the ears, limbs glossy and supple, tail dusting the ground, eyes full of sparkling wickedness, ears finely cut, flexibly moving, his nostrils dilate as my heels embrace him, his well-built limbs tremble with pleasure, as we race around and return. I but use you a minute, then I resign you, stallion. Why do I need your paces when I myself outgallop them, even as I stand or sit passing faster than you? 33. Space and time. Now I see it is true what I guessed at. What I guessed when I loafed on the grass. What I guessed while I lay alone in my bed. And again as I walked the beach under the paling stars of the morning. My thighs and bellies leave me, my elbows rest in sea gulps. I skirt sierras, my palms cover continents. I am afoot with my vision. By the city's quadragu, quadran, quadrangular houses, in log huts, camping with lumbermen, along the ruts of the turnpike, along the dry gulch and rivulet bed, wading my onion patch of housing rows of carrots and parsnips, crossing savannas, trailing in forests, prospecting, gold digging, girdling the trees of new purchase, scorched ankle deep by the hot sand, hauling my boat down the shallow river, where the panther walks to and fro on a limb overhead, where the buck turns furiously at a hunter, where the rattlesnake suns his flabby lengths on a rock, where the otter is feeding on a fish, where the alligator in his tough pimples sleeps by the bayou, where the black bear is searching for roots of or honey, where the beaver past the mud with the petal-shaped tail. Over the growing sugar, over the yellow-flowered cotton plant, over the rice in its low moist field, over the sharp-peaked farmhouse with its scalloped scum and slender shoots from the gutters, over the western persimmon, over the long-leaved corn, over the delicate blue blower flax, over the white and brown buckwheat, a hammer and daza were with the rest, over the dusky green of the rye as it ripples and shakes in the breeze, scaling mountains, pulling myself cautiously up, holding on by low, scragged limbs, walking the paths worn in the grass and beat, walking the paths worn in the grass, and beat through the leaves of the brush, where the quail is whistling betwixt the woods and the wheat lot, where the bat flies in the seventh mouth if, where the great goldbug drops through the dark, where the brook puts out of the roots of the old tree and flows to the meadow, where cattle stand and shake away flies with the tremulous shuddering of their hides. Where the cheesecloth hangs in the kitchen, where endirons straddle the hearth's lap, where cobwebs fall in festoons from the rafters, where cheap hammers crash, where the press is whirling its cylinders, wherever the human heart beats with terrible throes under the ribs, where the pear-shaped balloon is floating aloft, floating in it myself and looking composedly down, where the life car is drawn on, the sleep nooks where the heat hatches pale green eggs in the dented stand, where the she-whale swims with her calf and never forsakes it, where the steamship trails hindways its long pennant of smoke, where the fin of the shark cuts like a black chip out of the water, where the half-burned brick is riding off unknown currents, where shells grow to her slimy deck, where the dead are corrupting below, where the dense charred flag is born at the end, at the head of the regiments, approaching Manhattan up by the long stretching island under Niagara. The cataract falling like a veil over my countenance, upon a doorstep, upon the hearth block of hard wood outside, upon the race course, or enjoying picnics or jigs, or a good game of baseball, or at he festivals. With blackguard jibes, ironical license, ball dances, drinking, laughter, at the cider meal tasting the sweets of the brown mash, sucking the juice through a straw, at apple peelings, wanting kisses for all the red fruit I found, at masters, beach parties, friendly bees, huskings, house raisings, where the mockingbird sounds his delicious, gorgeous cockles, screams, sweeps, where the hayrick stands in the barnyard, where the dry stalks are scattered, where the brood cow waits in the hovel, where the bull advances to do his masculine work, where the stood to the manure, where the cock is treading the hen, where the heifers browse, where the geese nip their food with short jerks, where sundown shadows lengthen over the limitless and lonesome prairie, where herds of buffalo make a crawling spread of the square miles far and near, where the hummingbird shimmers, where the neck of the long-lived swan is curving and winding, where the laughing gull scoots by the shore, where she laughs her near human laugh, where bee hives range on a grey bench in the garden half hid by the high weeds, where band-necked partridges roost in the ring of the ground with her heads out, where burial coaches enter the arched gates of Samaria, where winter wolves bark amid wastes of snow and icy-clad trees, where the yellow-crowned heron comes to the edge of the marsh at night and feeds upon small crabs, where the splash of swimmers and divers cools the warm noon, where a katydid works her chromatic reed on the walnut tree of the well, through patches of citrons and cucumbers with silver white leaves, through the salt lake or orange glade or under conical firs, through the gymnasium, through the curtained saloon, through the office or public hall, pleased with the native and pleased with the foreign, pleased with the new and old, pleased with the homely woman as well as the handsome, pleased the Quakeress as she puts off her bonnet and talks melodiously, pleased with the tune of the choir of the whitewashed church, pleased with the earnest words of the swearing Methodist preacher, impressed seriously at the commitment, looking at the shop windows of Broadway the whole forenoon, flattening the flesh of my nose on the thick plate glass, venturing the same afternoon, with my face turned up to the clouds, or down a lane or along the bench, my right and left arms round the sides of two friends, and I in the middle, coming home with the silent and dark-cheeked bush boy. Behind me he rides at the drape of the day, far from the settlements studying the prints of animals' feet or the moccasin print by the cot in the hospital reaching lemonade to a feverish patient. Nigh the coffined corpse when all is still, examining with a candle voyaging to every port to Dika and adventure, hurrying with the modern crowd as eager and fickle as any, hot toward one I hate, ready in my madness to knife him, solitary at midnight in my backyard, my thoughts gone from me a long while, walking the old hills of Judea with the beautiful gentle God by my side, speeding through the space, speeding through heaven and the stars, speeding amid the 7 satellites and broad ring and the diameter of 80,000 miles, speeding with startled meteors, throwing fireballs like the rest, carrying the crescent child that carries its own full mother in its belly, storming, enjoying, planning, loving, cautioning, backing and filling, appearing and disappearing. I tread day and night such roads, I visit the orchids and spheres and look all the products at the product, and look at quintillions ripened, and look at quintillions green. I fly those flies of a fluid and swallowing soul, my course run below the soundings and of plummets. I help myself to material and immaterial, no guard can shut me off, no law prevent me. I anchor my ship for a little while only. My messengers continually cruise away or bring their returns to me. I go hunting polar furs and the seal, leaping chasms with a pike-pointed staff, clinging to topples or brittle and blue. I ascend to the foretruck. I take my place late at night in the crow's nest. We sail the Arctic Sea. It is plenty light enough. Through the clear atmosphere I stretch around of the wonderful beauty. The enormous masses of ice pass me and I pass them. The scenery is plain in all directions. The white-topped mountains show in the distance. I fling out my fancies toward them. We are approaching some great battlefield in which we are soon to be engaged. We pass the colossal outposts of the encampment encampment. Encampment. We pass with still feet and caution, or we are entering by the suburbs some vast and ruined city, the blocks and fallen architecture more than all the living cities of the globe. I'm a free companion, a bivouac of invading watchfires. I turn the bridegroom out of bed and stay with the bride myself. I tighten her all night to my things, to my thighs and lips. My voice is the wife's voice, the screech by the rail of the stars. They fetch my man's body up, dripping and drowned. I understand the large hearts of heroes, the courage of present times and old times, how the skipper saw the crowded and rudderless wreck of the steamship, the death chasing it up and down the storm, how he knuckled tight and gave not back an inch, and was faithful of days and faithful of nights, and chalked in large letters on the board, "Be of good cheer, we will not desert you." How he followed with them, and tacked with them 3 days and would not give it up. How he saved the drifting company at last, how the long loose groaned, how the long loose gowned women looked when bolted from the sight of their prepared graves, how the silent, old-faced infants and the lifted sick and the sharp-lipped, unshaved men, all this I swallow. It tastes good. I like it well. It becomes mine. I am the man. I suffered. I was there. The disdain and calmness of martyrs, the mother of old condemned for a witch, burnt with dry wood, her children gazing on, their hounded slave that flags in the race, leans by the fan, blowing, covered with sweat, that wings that sting like needles, his legs and neck, the murderous buckshot of the bullets. All this I feel or am. I am the hounded slave. I wince at the bite of the dogs. Hell and despair upon me. Crack and again crack the marksman. I clutch the rails of the fence. My gore drips, thinned with ooze of my skin. I fall on the weeds and stones. The riders spur the unwilling horses, hold close, taunt my dizzy ears, and beat me violently over the head with whipstocks. Agonies are one of my changes or garments. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. My hurts turn livid upon me as I lean on a cane and observe. I am the mashed fireman with breastbone broken. Tumbling walls buried me in their debris. Heat and smoke are inspired. I heard the yelling shouts of my comrades. I heard the distant click of their picks and shovels. They have cleared their beams away. They tenderly lift me forth. A light in the night in my red shirt. The pervading hush is for my sake. Painless after all, I lie exhausted but not so unhappy. White and beautiful are the faces around me, the heads are buried on of their fire caps. The kneeling crowd fades with the light of the torches, distant and dead. Resuscitate. They show as the dial or move as the hands of me. I am the clock myself. I am an old artillerist. I tell of my fort's bombardment. I am there again. Again the long roll of the drummers. Again the attacking cannon mortals. Again to my listening ears the cannon responsive. I take part. I see and hear the whole. The cries, curses roar, the plaudits for well-aimed shots. The ambulance so slowly passing, trailing its red drip. Workmen searching after damages, making indispensable repairs. The fall of grenades through the red roof. The fan-shaped explosion. The whiz of limbs, head, stone, wood, iron, high in the air. Again gurgles the mouth of my dying general. He furiously waves with his hand. He gasps through the cloth. Mind, not me. Mind. Their entrenchments.